Hello everyone. I wanted to make this video about time because it feels like there are a lot of misconceptions about it. Um, the biggest one, I think, is the direction it flows. Because if you think about the future, you'll notice that the future is actually getting closer to you and the past is getting farther away. So we know that the future actually moves through the present and disappears into the past. Um, this is why I believe that only the present exists. I don't believe the past or future are real places. They aren't real objects. They're just how we conceptualize um, the present moment uh, as we move past it or as we wait for it to come to us. Um, I think that time is just how we measure change. So if something changes, it's in time. And I think, with the exception maybe of abstract concepts, that everything changes, even if the only thing that changes is the amount of moments that pass. So if God was completely static, for example, then he would still change because there would still be moments that he was experiencing, even if he didn't do anything, if that makes sense. So I think as long as something exists, it's in time. Um, so that's why the title of this video is Time is Existence. I think it's also important that we don't get measuring time confused with time itself. I know a lot of people think that time is like a real object. It's not an abstract one because we're taught that it's part of our universe. You know, like the time-space continuum and the theory of relativity. Those things make it seem like that all the scientists believe that time is a real thing. And I believe that too, until I heard the argument I just made with you about the direction time flows, and a few other arguments I'll probably make in another video. When we think about measuring time, it's just our perception. So I think it's actually possible to slow down time, even if you can't time travel, because your perception of time can change depending on your power. Um, I don't know if any of you are athletes, but I played a lot of sports when I was younger, and one thing I noticed is that time, it would feel like time was slowing down when there was a critical moment. Like if I was in the outfield playing baseball and someone would hit a ball and I could tell it was hit right at me or like over my head, the ball would take forever to get to me. So I think you can actually, if you have enough power, I'm not exactly sure how that works with like how our perception works, like processing power maybe, I don't know. So maybe if we had smarter or we had more efficient brains, that we could perceive time differently. Um, but if you could perceive time so that it looks like it was traveling slowly, I think that means that you can take more actions in that time span. So, like, for instance, if God has the ability to slow down, has such a high perception of time that he can think he can take 1 billion actions in the time it takes us to take one. That would just be one way that he's more powerful than us. Is just his perception is that much greater, because you can fit a lot of thoughts. You can fit a lot of thoughts in a small amount of time, if your thoughts are firing that quickly. So yeah, I think it's pretty important that we I understand why people have different views of time. It's a complex concept, and I know I like thinking about it, and I know a lot of people don't like thinking about it. So there's going to be a lot of differing opinions, and that's fine. But I think we should think about the difference between time itself and measuring it, because that's a really easy mistake to make. Um, and I think it's one that can kind of ruin our thinking about time. We can give time more substance than it actually has. I think that can be dangerous. Um, because I mean, there's people do a lot of things because they think that they can change the past with their actions, for example, or that they can change. I mean, you can change the future with your will, um, but changing the past is something you can't do because of the way time works. And people might fantasize about saving someone that died horrifically and stuff like that. And I think it helps if we focus on the present, so we can focus on what we can do in the present to make sure that the future is good. Um, I think also having a bad conception of time also hurts our understanding of God, because if we think He exists outside of time, I thought that for quite a few years, and God felt very distant and very other from me, and I didn't even think about it, but like if you think that God exists outside of time, then you believe that He doesn't change. That He's a changeless. He's a changeless being. But that doesn't make any sense. Essentially, you believe that He doesn't exist because He never changes. He can't think. He can't feel. He can't take any actions. And like, if you think about something that can't do those things, the only thing that really comes to mind are abstract concepts, and I don't think you want to be an abstract concept. I won't want to be called an abstract concept. So I don't think we should call God an abstract concept by saying He exists outside of time. And there's one more little thing I want to talk about, and that's there's a logical contradiction in creating time, because by definition, because time is change, and in order to create time, you need change. So saying that time had a beginning, means that there's a before and after. So before there was time, so before there was time because there was a before time. Um, I just thought that was amusing. But anyway, thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.